All right, so in addition to the map on the home page, there is a GIS server tab. And this provides the server information that you will use to connect to Confluence, the Confluence geospatial services, rather. So there's a web address here for the services. There's a login name that your council shares and a password that your council shares. Now, Esri doesn't make this the most straightforward process, so I apologize for them. And I yell at them every time I see them on the elevator. They have an office just upstairs from us, but this is not the most straightforward process. So we do have setup instructions here to get started. So I'll basically walk through this today, and you can always refer back to these setup instructions to get back to the details here of how to make this work. So the general process here is to get access to ArcGIS server. If you see this message, GIS server is not set up, go ahead and email support or put a support request in, and we'll enable that for you. We'll next go through how you make a connection to the server. We'll go through creating a local copy of the Confluence site activities for file editing. We'll show you how to edit the data directly in Arc. You can also import features. We'll skip that part. It takes a little bit of time. JP is the resident expert there, if I recall. But yeah, you can also import features that either you captured via GPS or have previously drawn in Arc. So once you make your edits, then you synchronize the edits back to the server, and this will move your geospatial edits back to Confluence. And then you need to go refresh your calculated metrics that we were looking at, or measures rather, that we were looking at in Confluence, so your reports get updated. All right. So with that, let me come back to here. So you can highlight each of these fields and copy them. We'll go ahead and open Arc up. Arc 10.2 or greater is required. They fixed a bunch of bugs in 10.1 to 10.2 upgrade that makes this actually function. It didn't previously function. If you go to your catalog, there is a GIS servers node here, and you can add an ArcGIS server. So if you double click that, you're going to want to say that you're using GIS services, the first radio button. Click next. Go ahead and paste that web address in that you copied off the web page. Okay, I'm going to go back to the web page, copy the login, and we'll copy the user. Go ahead and add that. Okay, so once you're in, you'll have a GIS server, ArcGIS on geocentral.cicatec.com, user. You open that up, and it shows all of these different map services. You'll be most interested in the Confluence prod map service, so you can go ahead and view that here. I'm actually going to use QA today, so I'm going to open up the Confluence QA. You'll not want to do this. That's a test environment where the data gets reset. So when you go in, make sure you use the Confluence prod, and you'll see your layers here. Again, I'm just doing this for today's demonstration. Now, there's 3 layers. 2 of them have the same name, but slightly different icons. So maybe hard to see on the web meeting, but this middle set of layers, that's DM, demo editable layers, has this little shape on top of the icon. That's actually the layers that we want. Those are the ones that are actually editable. So I can go ahead and I can drag those over to my layers for my map. And you'll see now all the features that you've either added previously or drawn into Confluence for site activities. I can go ahead and identify, and you'll get the details directly out of the database for that site activity. Now, key here are the site activity numbers. This is the most important thing for connecting the spatial data in Arc back to the records in Confluence. So just take note of that. Go ahead and hide identify. We'll come back here. I'll close this. The other set of layers that you have available to you are read-only layers. We'll pull these over. And these just provide reference information to the tax lots, your watershed or your organization boundary, the sub-watersheds, the flow lines, the landowners, and the tax lots. So I'll just click some of these off. So here you can see your landowners. And so this is a way for you to actually connect to the work that you're doing and within Arc and see where the landowner information is. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So what we want to do today is take this particular site activity feature, and we're going to change how big it is and change where we're doing the work. The first thing you need to do is come to the editable layer, and this is very important. So this first level below, you right click on that whole group and you go down to the edit feature menu item and you say create local copy for editing. You click on that, and what this is doing is actually pulling all the data out of Confluence's database and putting it into a local GDB file that you can actually edit directly into. And that way you can use all of the Arc editing tools available to you. All right. So let's see, no, I want to show where this ends up. Yeah, so you can see here, there's a file geodatabase feature class, and the database is actually in a temporary area, and it's a temporary GDB file, or database rather. So that's where it actually stores it for those who might be interested. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll go to this riparian reveg polygon, and we can start editing from here. So we'll go ahead, edit features, start editing. And now I can select that. Polygon that we're interested in, and I can go ahead, edit vertices, and we'll go ahead and modify a few of these. Go out here a little further. And this is where you can use all the power of Arc to edit these features, snap to your underlying layers, etc. So we'll make that thing a little bigger, a little pointy hat on it. Get it off that other landowner property. I can go ahead and save those edits. And then I'll move on to the next one. We'll just edit this one a little bit. I'll actually just Well, actually, just move. Nope, won't do that. Come on. Oh, well, edit vertices again. Arg. All right, edit vertices. There we go. Okay. Okay, so make your edits. We'll go ahead and stop editing. That will prompt us if we want to save our edits. So we'll get out of, yes, we'll say yes, we'll get out of edit mode. And now to get these changes back to the server, you can go ahead and come back up to the group layer here, go back to edit features, and we'll say synchronize local edits with server. This will go and live update the database. So if you go back to Confluence and look at the maps in Confluence, you'll see these changes that were made. All right. After you've gone through that whole edit session and you've synced a bunch of changes back to Confluence, you're going to want to make sure that you come back to this GIS server tab and click refresh calculated measures. This makes sure that all the automated calculated acres and miles are updated from those new features or those changed features that you added. All right, that was the whole workflow of editing features in ArcGIS. Any questions about that?
Are you going to go into actually creating or linking maybe existing polygons to activities, or I can give an explanation on that otherwise?
I did not plan to demo that today. That takes a little more time than I thought we had, but we can certainly talk through it a bit.
Yeah, I was just going to say, often I personally, I am, sometimes I'll create polygons within Confluence, but often I'll have my polygons that I've already created in Arc. And so when I'm connecting Arc server, I'm basically copying over my polygons that were in Arc into the Confluence geodatabase and then adding the site activity numbers to link it to Confluence. And then I upload, as opposed to having the polygon already in Confluence and editing that polygon in Arc.
Okay.
That's a slightly more advanced or complex workflow than just creating it initially in Confluence. Is that an accurate description, or is that?
Yeah, I guess only that you're having to first create the activity in Confluence, even though you don't have any polygons associated with it. And then once you connect Arc server to Confluence and you've copied over your polygons from Arc into the Confluence geodatabase, you then have to go into the attribute table and add those site activity numbers in the attribute table. And then once you save and you sync, then it will upload those new polygons you had in Arc into Confluence.
That's right. Yeah. That takes a bit of effort. As the general workflow then is you would go to your site activities and create your site activities here in Confluence to get the number. So if these were the new ones that I had created, we can view those. You can copy the site activity number And then if you make a new, if you draw a new feature here, let me go ahead and select this guy. Okay, we're getting some kind of error there. We'll just do an identify. So the identify here, that would usually come from the attributes table. I'm not sure why I can't get that to work right now, but you would put the site activity number that I just copied into this field. That's what you're getting at, JP?
Yep, that's correct. And so you have to put that particular layer, in edit mode, and you would copy and paste from your other geodatabase or wherever your shapefile or layer is, and then paste it into that that layer that you're editing within the Confluence geodatabase. And then you go into the attribute table and add in the site activity number.
Yeah, okay.